Hey guys, so let's see. Okay. It'll work. Yeah, I'm working. Or at least it looks like I am. I'm a mess. No, I am. I'm working. Today is catch up day. I've gotten behind on some things and I got to get them caught up today. That's just how it is. But time to brew another another pot of coffee to keep me going. Yeah, I know it probably sounds like I just live on coffee. Hook me up to the IV. It's not quite that bad, but it's probably close. Anyway, well, that does its thing. I'm going to sit here and do my thing. And today I was thinking about this one summer, when I was 7, and just one of them funny things that happened as a kid. So my dad at the school where he was a school teacher, an elementary school teacher at the time, or he might have been middle school, I don't remember. It was one of those two. Anyway, one of the other teachers had told him about this place called Moose Lake, and they said, hey, you ought to go there. It's a little hike in, but it is so worth it. It's a beautiful place. It's great fishing, and we used to love to go fishing. And so, hey, you should take the family picnic lunch, go and enjoy it. So on Saturday, he had directions on how to find this place. My dad said, hey, let's take an adventure. And so we grabbed one of my brother's friends from church, Joe. And so he went with us. And my mom made us a picnic lunch, and we drove to the place where you would park, and then you would hike into this lake. Now, we were used to doing things like that. We spent much of our time in the mountains, hiking into lakes and rivers and camping and living off the land. And we spent a whole summer at Three Creeks, Three Creeks Lake. Is that what it was called? Something like that. And anyway, we ate trout pretty much breakfast, lunch, and dinner until we were so sick of it. My dad begged my mom to drive to town and buy some real food. But I love rainbow trout. But and cooked over an open fire, that is the best. And the way my mom would fix it, and she'd fry it up in butter, oh, it was so good. But after a couple of weeks of that being the only thing you're eating, we got a little tired of it. So anyway, we were used to doing things like this. And usually when you'd have to hike into a lake or into a river or something, usually, just hiked in across some hills and stuff, or you climbed up to it, or, well, this was very different. So there were signs when we got there, and the road that you would park off of, had a sign that said Moose Lake, and then an arrow pointing down. And what it was there was a drop off there where you parked, and you hiked down that drop off, and it wasn't too bad. I mean, it was probably, because we'd stand on my dad's shoulder, so it was probably 6.5, 7 feet down is all. And then you would hike, kind of walk down a ways, and then there'd be another embankment you'd have to go down. And so it was a climb down. And so my dad, he was like, oh, I like it better when you climb up to it, because that's the harder climb, and then you can come down the embankments to go home, and that's much easier. But he goes, we'll be fine. So we got down there and got into and found Moose Lake. It took quite a while to get there, but it was gorgeous when we got there. The guy had definitely not led my dad astray, and the fishing was fantastic, and we just had a wonderful time. We ate my mom's meal that she had packed for us, and lots of little snacks, and so we just were having quite a time. Well, here's the thing. If you've ever been in the forest, which is even worse than the woods, when the sun starts to go down, it gets dark really fast. Now, we were around an open lake with open sky, and it didn't seem that bad. And then my dad's like, it kind of dawned on him, you know what, that sun's going down, and the forest is going to be extremely dark. We need to get going. And so we started heading up. Now, this was not a well-marked trail. You could just see where other people had slid down this embankment, and you kind of would follow, in little footpaths that had kind of wore out. in the vegetation from people walking on it. So you had to really, pay attention. Well, we didn't have any flashlights with us. We hadn't planned to be there after dark. But once we got into the forest and started trying to head up to the car, which, it was like an hour's hike going in. So it was going to take even longer going out. They had, 4 kids, 2 school-age boys that kind of could do okay on their own, 2 little kids, a 7-year-old and a 6-year-old that needed a little more assistance and were afraid of the dark and wild animals that were in the dark. So it was a little bit of a chore. Well, we started going, and we went as far as we could until we could no longer see the path. And my dad was like, we have got to get home because we've got Joe with us. And if we don't get back, his parents are going to be terrified. They're going to be worried that something bad happened. Now, he said, if it was just us, I'd say, let's find a tree, curl up under that tree. We'll sleep tonight and keep warm. And then, because it was summer, it wasn't, it still gets cold at night in the forest, but it wasn't that bad. We could have done okay. And he's like, and then we hike out in the morning when the sun came up. But we can't do that with Joe here because somebody will think we're missing. And so we were at one of those points in life where we didn't know what to do. My dad, that's scary. When you're a little kid, as long as mom and dad, they'll know what to do and everything's fine. Well, mom and dad didn't know what to do. This one was a little bigger than them. And so my dad had us, as often was the practice in our family, we stood in a circle and we all held hands. And my dad asked the Lord to provide us with some kind of a miracle to get us back up to the car. Well, after we got done praying, then it's kind of like, now what do we do? Because we were in pitch black. We couldn't see a thing. It was a really bright moon that night. It was that, and you could see flickers of light coming through the top canopy of the forest. But you couldn't see enough to, illuminate your surroundings because it was very dense. It was wild vegetation. But, we'd kind of, stopped and and that's when my dad said, if it was just us, we'd just curl up under a tree. But Joe's mom and dad are going to be worried, so we have got to find a way to get back. Well, my brother, who was 6, he was short. He was close to the ground, and he had good eyesight. And he's like, Daddy, I think I can see the path here. I know I can see the path. And my dad was like, are you sure? Because we couldn't see anything. And I was about twice as tall as my brother. I matured really fast. We were only 18 months apart, but I grew really fast. And girls grow faster than boys anyway. So I was twice as tall as him. I couldn't see it. And then my brother and Joe, they were even taller yet. They couldn't see it. And my mom wasn't very tall. She was, just a little over 5 foot, but she couldn't see it. And my dad was like 6'10", 6'11". I'm not 6'10". Oh, no. 5'10", 5. Yeah, my dad was a giant. Oh, the things that come out of my mouth sometimes. Anyway, he definitely couldn't see it. But Brad swore he could see it. So my dad said, okay, and here's the thing about that moon flickering light through the top of the trees, was it almost made my brother's dirty white t-shirt glow. We couldn't see the path, but we could see his t-shirt. And in fact, I almost want to say that my mom had him take it off and turn it inside out so the cleaner side was out so we could see better. But however it worked, my brother swore he could see that trail. And pretty soon we'd get to an embankment and they'd be like, okay, we got to go up here. And so my dad, hoisted my mom up first, and then he'd start, the 2 older boys, they just kind of worked it out. They were trying to be tough. They were like in 6th grade or something. And so they were like trying to show us up and how they could get up that embankment. But my dad then would hand my little brother and I up to my mom, and then he'd hang on to tree roots and come up the embankment. And then my little brother would find the trail again, and we'd follow him. And the thing that was really interesting about that was we had to just have faith to believe that our 6-year-old, my little 6-year-old brother really could see that trail, and that he wasn't just wandering us around getting us more lost. And, and then rely on the moonlight to hit his shirt so we could see him, because he kept moving, and we had to keep up with him. He was very excited about being able to see that trail. So the 6-year-old took us up one more embankment, and when we got to the top of that embankment, there was our little Volkswagen Bug. We made it. It took us a couple hours easily to get out of there. It was late at night. It was like probably 10 o'clock or so, and then we had a little bit of a drive home, and there was no cell phones, and there was no pay phones up in the forest, but this was before cell phones, so we couldn't call ahead and tell his family everything was fine, we were coming, don't send people out looking for us. But everything worked out, and when we got home, Joe's mom and dad, they said, we were concerned, but we just prayed about it, and the Lord gave us a peace and told us, you guys were okay. You'd be running a little late, but you were okay. And, we got home, so everything worked out. How many times in life have I faced an impossible situation where I didn't even know, what do I do? I don't even know what to do. I'm helpless to do anything, but something's got to give. Something's got to happen here. And to just put that faith out and begin to follow whatever the Lord put in front of me. So many times that he's led me like that. So many times he's led me through the darkness and given me a glimmer of light to follow. A truth that was there. And even though I didn't understand it and I couldn't see all the things I needed to see myself, God's never failed me. He's always brought me through. See, even if I can't see the trail, God can. And even if I'm not sure I can see him, he makes a way to make sure I can, or that I can hear his voice and follow that. He doesn't just leave me there. I have been in impossible situations multiple times in my life where I thought, I'm not going to get through this. There's no answer here. We're not going to make it, whatever. But yet, I'm not in any of those situations. He brought me through every single one of them. And whatever I face, whatever happens, whatever's going on, no matter how impossible it feels. I can remember Moose Lake. My parents had no clue what to do, which was very frightening for me as a child. And we prayed, and when we got done praying, there was no clue what to do. Until it happened that the 6-year-old says, I can see the trail. He couldn't see it before, but he could after that. Yeah, God always makes a way. He always makes a way, even when it seems like there is no way. I just wanted to remind you of that today. I wanted to remind me. Because, sometimes there's little things that start happening, and I started feeling a little stress about something today and that I need to take care of, and kind of was feeling like, I don't know if I can do this, and and I don't think I have everything I need, and how am I, and Moose Lake, God will get you through. Okay, Lord, show me which way to go, and off we go. All right, I love you guys. I thank you for taking a little time out of your day to sit here and chat with me. Let me tell my stories. That in itself, boy, I tell you, there is power in, not just power in your story and for other people to hear it, but there's power in you being able to tell your story. So I appreciate that you guys allow me to keep telling bits and pieces of my stories, of my story that is made up of many little stories, just like yours. So it's fun. And now I think I'll go get me a cup of coffee and go back to work, because It's got to be done. It's got to be done. All right. I love you guys. If you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you know when my video comes up tomorrow. And share the videos with anybody that you think it might speak to. My biggest goal is not to become some successful YouTube channel and, and make $1 million. I don't think anybody's doing that. But my goal is to be able to share my story, to share my testimony, to encourage people, to show them that Jesus is the way, to proclaim the kingdom of God just as much as I can with whatever days I've got left of this old life. So if I'm going to be around another 20, 30, 40, 50 years, well, you might as well get a real comfy chair. That's all I know. And a big cup of coffee. All right. I love you guys. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Later.